What's up, 88ers? Welcome back. 88 Live every Sunday, 12 Eastern Time. Today we're talking about hypertrophy do's and don'ts. There's a lot of don'ts. There's a lot of do's. We're going to talk about them both. But first, let's talk about this channel. This channel's here for you, y'all. We are passionate about bodybuilding. We've made it to the top levels. Camille's top level amateur. I'm a professional. We can help you along your way if that's your goal. And if we can do it, you can do it. And we can help you get there. All right, enough about that. We're going to talk about hypertrophy do's and don'ts. What is hypertrophy?
Well, that's anytime you're looking to increase muscle size,
Right.
Would be the definition of hypertrophy. And I'm really excited for this topic. So towards the end of the week, we actually have a new series that's going to drop. It's all about, we call it Hypertrophy Showdown. So we'll actually compare and contrast different exercises that are common in the gym and talk about which one's actually best for increasing muscle size.
There is an answer.
Yeah, so that's definitely a topic that you want to stay on top of and make sure you understand how to get the most out of the exercises that you're doing. So
that drops Friday, right?
Yeah, that starts Friday. I think James kicks it off with the topic he's looking at. I want to say it's like pull-ups, pull-downs, and rows. Which one's better for the hypertrophy of the back? So increasing those back muscles. Stay tuned to find out Friday.
I'm pretty sure it's a bicep video.
Oh, well, we'll have to go check then.
And it's chin-ups, pull-downs, and reverse.
All right. I guess I had it wrong. But in any case, it's going to be a really fun series where we're looking at different exercises every video. So definitely check that out.
Yeah, I mean, everybody asks what's the best exercises to do.
Right.
And we're giving it to you, plain and simple. Starts Friday. Check it out.
All right, but today's topic is do's and don'ts for hypertrophy. So let's start with mistake number one. And I'll say that is actually lifting too heavy. So what do you think about that, James?
Yeah, form is always first. So if you're sacrificing form for weight, you're messing up.
Yeah, I would say, you can't go out there and lift for your ego. You got to lift with building muscle in mind. And if you're out there just throwing weights around just to get a max lift, that's not exactly the same thing as lifting with intent and purpose, y'all.
100%. I mean, hypertrophy, you're talking 6 reps. So if you're maxing your 1 rep max, that's cool. But if you're doing it every single workout, you're not really getting hypertrophy gains you could.
Exactly. So definitely take your time, pick a weight that's appropriate. So I always say, hypertrophy is 6 to 12. So once you start kind of bordering on that 10th rep, definitely the 12th rep, it means it's too late. So go ahead and increase, by whatever increment and then try it again, trying to back that rep range back down. And like James said, anything less than 6, it's geared towards strength training and improving strength. So our goal, at least for this series of videos that we're talking about, is hypertrophy, increasing muscle size. So you need to provide enough stimulus. And so training at the right weight, not going too heavy, is going to be really important.
Or too light.
Yeah, or too light.
Too light, you don't get the stimulus. Too heavy, you don't get the stimulus.
Exactly. And we'll talk about progressive overload in a few minutes here. But all right, so that's mistake number one. No ego lifting, get the appropriate weight, work through the rep range.
Right, and get full range of motion.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so mistake number 2 for you guys is going to be ignoring proper form and technique. James is always ahead, I know. But yeah, like he's right. You want to work that full range of motion. If you guys have been following our videos for a while, there's 3 phases to all lifts. What are they, James?
The positive, the squeeze, and the negative.
Yeah, so you got the concentric portion. So if you're doing curls, that's the raising part. And then you got that isometric portion. That's the squeeze. And then you've got the lowering portion. That's the eccentric part of the lift. So a lot of times what happens is people go out there and they're really focused on that concentric part.
Yep.
Yeah, like they're chasing that pump around and they're just like, that's all that matters. But no, there's actually 3 phases to the lift. So
and the negative portion is the most effective portion of the lift. So the lifting part doesn't get you the most gains. It's the lowering part, believe it or not. that get you more gains than actually
Absolutely.
lifting the weights.
Absolutely. And you know, anytime you're not lifting with proper form or technique, you can set yourself up for injury.
It's going to lead to injury.
So you want to make sure that you are using proper form. And we have a lot of videos, y'all. So if you have any questions on how to do a certain exercise, I guarantee there's a playlist for that. And if not, definitely ask us the question and we'll get a video out there for you.
100%. And you were talking about specificity. When you train triceps, you want to train triceps.
Right.
You start doing sloppy form, now you're throwing shoulders in there, you're throwing chest
Exactly.
in there, and they're taking over. Your triceps are going to be the third muscle doing the work. When you're proper form, your triceps will be the target.
You got it. Since we were talking about the eccentric part, you know, one of the mistakes, I would say mistake number 3 is not focusing on that eccentric part. As James was alluding, like you're actually strongest in the negative portion, the eccentric portion of the lift. So making sure you're not just dropping that weight and that you're kind of working, you know, throughout the range of motion, the time is really important for that eccentric portion.
This is huge with beginners because they just don't know. You know, it's not common knowledge and it's not common sense that lowering the weight will get you more gains than actually lifting it. It's not.
Right.
That's why you see this. I mean, they'll struggle like crazy to lift it and just straight drop it.
Right.
Get the negative portion of the rep. You're going to get more gains focusing on the negative portion of rep than you will on the positive portion.
Yeah, you're just able to create a lot more tension. And that's why you're getting more out of it in that negative portion. And it really does contribute towards growth. So,
100%.
So yeah, I mean, if we're telling you the secret to getting growth, so make sure you're doing that eccentric portion.
Put a star right there. You're missing a third of your workout.
Right.
If you don't do the negative, if you're just dropping the weight, it's literally a third of your workout you're missing out on. You're only doing 2/3 of your workout. And if you're not doing the negative, you're probably not squeezing the muscle either. So you're only doing 1/3 of the workout, heaving the weight up and then dropping it.
Yeah. I mean, depending on what exercise and what I'm doing, usually I like a good couple seconds to get it up into position, at least a second where I'm squeezing. And then a lot of times I'll take 4 entire seconds to lower that weight. Yeah. That way I'm really emphasizing all 3 phases and the lowering phase.
Yeah, I've read 4-2-4 many different times, but that gets a little cumbersome, especially when you're focusing on, lifting max weight, trying to count 4 seconds, lift it up. Just keep your muscles engaged while you lower the weight and lower it smoothly and slowly. Don't worry about counting seconds.
Right.
Smoothly, slowly, and keep those muscles engaged. Don't let them go and drop the weight.
Yeah, I think, like you said, it's a big rookie mistake. I think when you first start lifting, you're just so excited and eager to get in there and move the weights around that you're really not, you're just lifting to lift. You're not really thinking about how your muscles are activating and functioning during that lift. So taking that time and focusing on all 3 parts will make a big difference.
You see a lot of young guys in sports doing this because they post their numbers up. It's about what you lift. Nobody asks you what you lower. What are you lowering? It's what do you lift?
Right.
So, these high school, college athletes are just throwing the weights, which is okay. And it'll help with your explosive strength. But if hypertrophy is your goal, you can do a heck of a lot better.
Absolutely. So mistake number 4, I would say, would be neglecting progressive overload. So
this is a big one.
Yeah, we started talking about that in the beginning. And you see this a lot. There'll be people that go to the gym week after week, year after year, and they're doing the same exact workout, same exact exercise, and same exact weight. And you're like,
they look exactly the same.
Yeah, you're like, what's the point of going to the gym at that point? So y'all, you got to keep increasing your weight over time, and maybe not weight. It could be reps or intensity.
This is why you track. I can bench press 315 pounds for 10 reps. It's hard. It is hard, believe me, but I know I can do it. So I have to come in and do 11 or do 316 pounds for 10, or I just wasted my workout.
Right.
I burnt calories and maintained. I didn't make any gains whatsoever if I went in and did 315 for 10 again. And it is hard and it is heavy. But if you don't progressively overload that again, and that's why people don't, is because, hey, I'm doing 315 for 10 and it's hard.
Right.
So I'm going to stop right there. But if you're not progressively overloading, man, you just Maintain and burn calories.
Yeah, again, if your goal truly is to grow, like that is truly your goal,
that's the key.
Get comfortable with being uncomfortable. And if you are progressively overloading and tracking it over time, you are going to be very uncomfortable when you're doing these sessions. Sorry, James is a little under the weather today. I can't make him laugh.
Apologies. If you tuned in last week, I was a little under the weather. The crud's still hanging out. So hopefully by next week, I'll be back to 100%.
But yeah, there's lots of different ways to progressively overload. Sometimes it could just be increasing that time under tension. So like we were talking about the, 4 seconds up, 2 second pause, 4 down. You can manipulate how long you spend in each one of those phases. You could try adding resistance bands to your barbells and things to create variable tension. Lots of different techniques for progressively overloading.
Whole lot of intensifying techniques, but the best thing you do is track your weights.
Yeah, absolutely.
Track your weights, track your reps, and add one every single workout. It's just, it sounds simple, right?
It's really a mindset thing because it's hard.
Before I started tracking many years ago, I would say arm days easy, shoulder days easy, because I would go in there and lift the same weights. Guess what? Arm day ain't easy no more. Shoulder day is not easy anymore because I'm cranking out more weight or more reps, which means I'm breaking that barrier. I'm doing something I haven't done before, and it's not easy.
Yeah, I mean, human nature is going to be to try to preserve yourself. So, right, like your level of perceived effort before you start tracking is like, oh no, this is feeling really hard today.
Yeah.
I'm good. I'm going to stop here. But really, had you tracked, you're like, oh no, I've been doing that same weight for like the last 3 months. There's no way it could be hard still.
Last 3 years.
Yeah.
I've said this story before. 10 years at Gold's Gym, 3 gentlemen came in, did the same exact workout, same exact weight for 10 years. Wow. They had decent physiques, but did they improve over 10 years? No, they did not.
I bet not. So this kind of goes along with that too. But mistake number 5, I would say, is inconsistent training frequency. There's a lot of people where they might start off good, going there 5 days a week, whatever, and then all of a sudden, like, life gets in the way. Next thing you know, it's like 3 days here, 1 week to the next week. Now it's like, oh, I'm back up to 3 days, and they're just kind of floating with no real plan or schedule.
I think we've all suffered through this. I was in high school and I would go 3 months and then quit for 3 months.
Yeah, you drew us a whole diagram in one of the lives.
I have a video up about consistency. And just think about it. We're saying track your weights every single workout. Well, you miss a week, you're going to get weaker. Right. You miss 2 weeks, you're going to get weaker. You miss 3 weeks, 3 months.
Oh boy,
you're going to go to your book and you're going to start crying because that weight you were supposed to do, you're just starting over. Like she said, you're going back to zero. Every time you stop and start, you go back to zero, which erases all your gains, and you're starting over. Just stay consistent.
Absolutely.
You're not going to get anywhere without consistency.
Yeah, definitely. If hypertrophy and growing muscles is your goal, following a well-structured plan that is consistent with your training frequency and volume is really important if you're optimizing it.
Yes, and I say this all the time too. You can make up for a heck of a lot of mistakes just by being consistent.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, mistake number 6. I would say this is underestimating recovery and sleep. So common mistake people make is just hitting the weights again. They're still really sore, whatever muscle group they're training, hasn't fully recovered. And, I would say that most muscle growth occurs when you're not actually in the gym. It's in between. It's in between sessions, right?
You're breaking it down in the gym. You're not recovering at all in the gym. The rest of that time outside of the gym is when you're recovering. Right. And if you pay attention and look around, there's many, 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 many people that say if you're stuck, the number one symptom is usually overtraining.
Yeah, absolutely.
And this is kind of controversial as well, but I can tell you, I love Tom Platt's explanation better than anybody's about overtraining. Some people think there's no such thing as overtraining. Right. Tom Platt says, can you go and work out every single day? Absolutely, you can. 7 days a week, no problem. Can you progressively overload and kill
Right.
yourself every single week, 7 days a week? No, you cannot.
Right.
Tom Platz had the best legs in bodybuilding to this day, and he only trained them twice a month.
Wow.
So that should tell you something right there. You need to recover if you want to make your gains. You're not making gains if you're not recovering. And if it's only going twice a month, then that's it. That's what you do. If that's how much time you need to recover because you're going that hard, then you take that time to recover. If you're going in there and lifting weights every day, exercising, I think is the word he uses, absolutely you can go 7 days a week. But if you are in there like an animal and pushing yourself like you should be, you need to rest and recover.
Absolutely.
You will eventually tax your nervous system. And believe me, if you haven't felt that,
it's not a good feeling. Yeah, sleep's a big part of that too. Like you want to make sure you're getting adequate sleep. Everyone's a little different, but good rule of thumb, at least 8 hours if you're doing those heavy training sessions.
Yeah.
I know me personally, like I'm not very functional if I don't get my 8 hours of sleep. It makes a big difference.
Sleep is, that's another
struggle.
sensitive subject. But winning strength, I heard him say, and this stuck out to me like crazy. If guys paid as much attention to sleep as they did to everything else, creatine supplements, working out, everything else, if they just paid as much attention to sleep, they'd be so much more ahead than where they are.
I believe it. I really believe it.
Because if you're not recovering, you're not making gains.
All right. The next mistake, number 7, we already touched on overtraining. Yeah, I mean, everyone's different, right? So you need to figure out what works for you. Some people can go to the gym, hit, I don't know, biceps. And the next day they're like, hey, I'm good. I can train chest. Maybe you can't. I don't know. Like you need to figure out how many days between body parts you can go, how many days before hitting that same body part again.
Sure.
It's all part of like putting the effort into a proper program.
And knowing yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to hashtag this. This is going to change as you get older.
Yeah, it does.
I used to be able to train 5 days a week. I can no longer train 5 days a week at 47 years old. I lift weights every other day now.
Yeah.
So I'm lifting either 4 or 3 days a week. And
yeah.
I need that time to recover because there were weekends where I couldn't get off the couch training 5 days a week. Literally, not getting off the couch today, Camille, sorry. So I had to put the extra rest days in and recover. Otherwise, I'm just losing out on days completely.
Yeah. And I'm more of the mindset. I like sometimes taking 3 to 4 days off between training things. And it doesn't matter what body part I trained before. Like I don't like to work out again until I'm not sore. And it makes a big difference. Like I've noticed that the amount of weight and my strength actually went up. And the stronger you are, the more weight you can lift, the more you can apply these hypertrophy techniques to get muscle growth. So it's very individualized, the topic of overtraining, but definitely it's something, it is very real and it's something you got to pay attention to.
100%.
All right. The last thing we'll touch on, mistake number 8, is neglecting the nutrition. I mean, people are so meticulous about going to the gym, hitting their reps and sets. A lot of them are progressively overloading and logging in a book. And then it comes to nutrition. They're like, yeah, just eat whatever. It's like,
hot
what?
dogs. No, dude, no. So proper nutrition is going to get you gains that much faster. Right. You got to think of yourself like you're eating for function now. Mm-hmm. You're not eating for taste. You gotta provide your body the nutrients to recover. You're just not going to do it without it. Really, you're cheating yourself. You're making your body work, 3 times as hard if you're not giving it nutrients to recover. And it's going to take that much longer to recover without the proper nutrients in your system to recover. I mean, it's that simple. It's hard. You got to flip that switch in your head because, we're American. American culture is cake and cookies and booze. So you really got to flip your switch. You're going to go to parties. You're going to go to anniversaries. You're going to go to work events. You're going to go to retirements, graduations, you name it. And there's going to be cakes, cookies, and booze there. You got to go ahead and look at that veggie tray and
there's always a veggie tray,
and the grilled chicken instead, or bring your own food. I've been to many gatherings, family gatherings where I pack my own food.
Right. And there's different ways to look at the nutrition. One would be like under eating for your goals. I've had some clients, they've been eating at a caloric deficit for years. This is where they're comfortable. And they have the desire to put on more size, but they're scared to leave that deficit because what's the opposite? Like you're eating at a surplus and you're scared to like gain too much body fat. But y'all, if you really want the gains, you really want to build muscle, you have to be okay toeing that line. You have to at least try. You know, being at a deficit will take the body fat off, so you can always go back to that if you need to. But get out of that caloric deficit, right? Like start adding a couple hundred calories in there very slowly. And you'll feel so much better. You'll have so much more energy when you go to the gym to get these lifts. And it's just that much easier when you're eating right.
Agreed. And I've come across this a few times over the years training. People that usually are stay at a deficit were fat at one point, and they are terrified to get fat again. So they keep themselves at a caloric deficit because they're afraid to get fat again. With these people, and if you're a trainer, you have these clients, just start adding calories slowly in and say, hey, listen, it's been 3 weeks. You didn't gain any weight. Let's add a little bit more. And you got to kind of hold their hand and cattle them up. Say, listen, we're making muscles. You need the nutrients. You're not going to get fat.
Yeah, I mean, the same goes too. If you're just someone that's struggling with this, I would say find yourself a personal trainer or a nutritional counselor. And I mean, and pick someone that has a good reputation that you can trust and you can form a good relationship with, and put that trust and faith in them that they've got you, right? Like that's what I say when I work with my clients. I got you.
Yep.
Like if it starts going south, like my eye is so meticulous looking at these check-in photos. I will know and I will self-correct it for you. Yep. You just have to follow the instructions and do it. Right? I was
getting ready to say that. I've had mad clients over the years just do check-ins. Right. Just do check-ins. That's all they do, and I adjust their diet. That's it. And it's mostly for accountability because they're sending, pictures of them half naked every week. So they know, hey, I'm not going to eat that because my guy sent my trainer a picture. That's mostly part of it, but it keeps you on track. And if that's what it takes, you should absolutely do that.
Yeah.
But you better trust your trainer and
trust your trainer. The other thing would be the opposite. A lot of people are overnourished nowadays.
This is the most common one in my realm.
I mean, Mike Menzer was big on this, right? Like they're consuming, I don't know, like 2+ grams of protein per body pound. I don't know.
So we're in the bodybuilding world, y'all. We're in the bodybuilding world. And Ronnie Coleman set the standard at 300 pounds on stage. So now you're talking to a 16-year-old who wants to be 300 pounds. And you're like, dude, you're 140 pounds right now. Hey, let's get a goal to be 175 pounds lean.
Right.
But we see this all the time. I've been to posing seminars where guys are literally over 300 pounds and they look like a ball of dough. They're flexing and I'm behind them going, man, you're not supposed to like wiggle and jiggle while you're flexing. They don't look good. They don't look like bodybuilders. And every single one of them I saw at the posing seminar never made it to the stage. So I don't know what happened to these folks that were over 300 pounds, but they never dieted down to get on stage yet.
Right.
And that's my last posing seminar. Was that 2 years ago, 3 years ago? And there was 1, 2 years before that. So these guys just keep getting huge and huge and huge, and they can't diet down.
Yeah, I mean, really, depending on how much you weigh, 20 pounds max over a very, very lean look. And so if you're not a competitive bodybuilder, a lean look would be like picture typical body on the beach and then take like 10 pounds of fat off of that.
Yeah.
Like that's probably where you want to be. So don't gain too much. It's not necessary. The body doesn't need fat to make muscle. You can't turn fat into muscle. That's like a huge misconception that we hear.
Fat cells don't turn into anything other than fat cells.
Right. So you don't actually need excess fat to make more muscle.
Yes, remember your bulk weight is 20 pounds over your stage weight, and then you go to maintain, and yes, you can still make gains at a maintain.
Right.
Chakib, we got a great question.
Welcome back, by the way.
Yes.
Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks for tuning in, Chakib. We appreciate you taking out the time of your day. This is a great question.
What's
it's
the
about
question?
leg training, progressively overloading with leg training. So he's got
Great
progressive
question.
overload or higher reps. The answer is both. Here is why this is such a great question. Legs tend to respond better to higher reps. So we're talking 6 to 12 for every body part except legs. For legs, you want to go 15 to 20 reps for the hypertrophy, but you still want to progressively overload. So if you're hitting 20 reps, the next workout, you got to add weight and hit 20 reps or do the same weight for 21 reps. Great question to keep.
Yeah, a lot of times I'll actually do it as like a superset of some kind. So I might hit 10 squats and then I go ahead and I hit 10 leg extensions.
Yeah, I'll do that a lot as well.
Or like 10 deadlifts, leg curls. So it's like a pre-exhaust, post-exhaust to get higher volume, but it's not necessarily me doing 20 reps on the squats. And that's just me personally. So what happens for me is I end up doing like almost like junk volume, because depending on how heavy that weight is, like my form and stuff starts to fall apart. And I rather get 10 quality reps and then go ahead and do something else than like geek out another 10 that aren't proper.
So maybe you need to lighten the weight a little bit and get 20 proper.
There you go.
I mean, study after study says that higher reps respond better to legs. And then I think at this point it's been proven over and over scientifically. So great question. 6 to 12 reps, every body part, but legs go a little bit higher on the reps with legs. Great question, Shaquille. Great question.
There you go. That's actually a whole nother topic. We might even cover it next week, which is better for muscle hypertrophy, high reps or lower reps. So it's a great topic all around for this.
Yeah, and a very common question and a good one.
All right. Well, those are our 8 mistakes or common mistakes that people make when they're trying to gain muscle. So hopefully you guys learned something and won't make any of those 8 mistakes.
Yeah, the biggest ones, you know, especially for beginners, is the consistency.
Yeah.
Lifting too heavy and bad form.
Yeah.
That's what I see over and over. You know, it's unfortunate because people go to the gym, they join the gym and they come for 3 weeks and they go, man, I don't see any difference.
It takes time.
This is BS. I'm out of here. And they never come back.
Yeah.
But making muscle takes time. We talked about it last week.
Oh, yeah.
Years. I don't know if I've said it on film before, but you're building New York City and you're putting 1 brick down every time you go work out.
Right.
So in a week, you have 5 bricks. In a month, you're starting to make a wall.
Right.
In a year, you got somewhat of a building, right? In 5 years, you got a block built now, right? 10 years, you got somewhat of a city going. So keep that in mind.
Yeah.
You're laying 1 brick every time you go to that gym.
Right.
And you're building New York City. So take your time and give it time. You know, don't get frustrated in 3 weeks and quit.
Right.
You know, if you're getting frustrated and you have put a little bit of time into this, maybe ask a trainer for help.
Yeah, I mean, so when you're just getting started too, I would focus on something else besides like visual feedback. Like, so maybe your feedback when you're just starting is like, hey, I added a rep today. Yes. Or, hey, I went up in weight, like my strength got stronger, versus, hey, I noticed my biceps were bigger. Like focus, if you put the effort into focusing on those progressive overload wins, it will eventually lead to that visual feedback that you're looking for.
Put a star next to that. That's fantastic advice. Don't worry about how big you're getting. That's going to take time. And if you're doing a progressive overload, it's going to happen. It's just time.
Absolutely.
Shakib's got another question. How to breathe when you're doing exercise. Make weight training into an aerobic exercise. No, Shakib. You keep your weight training and your aerobics separate.
Absolutely.
But that is a great question. The big mistake most people make when they're, especially a heavyweight, is they hold their breath.
Right. It's not good.
Don't want to hold your breath. Do not hold your breath. You want to exhale on the positive portion of the rep as you're lifting. Right. But it's not going to make an aerobic workout. No, just make sure you're not holding your breath. And technically, if you want to breathe out during the positive portion of the rep, then you should.
Yeah, that's usually when I'm breathing out. Like if I'm doing a leg extension, as my legs are coming up, I'm usually breathing out. and then I'll inhale on the way back down.
Biggest thing is don't hold your breath.
Yeah, usually actually if you have more regimented breathing, it really helps you get through those lifts because you're kind of focused on something else, like a cadence. So
Great questions, Keith.
yeah, keep those good questions coming.
Yeah.
But yeah, so those were our 8 tips. Definitely be on the lookout for those videos to drop starting this Friday for you. I think you'll have a lot of fun with it, you guys.
Absolutely. These are good videos, and they're going to tell you what exercises are better than the others. So
absolutely.
Check them out.
All right. Well, this channel is for you guys. So join us every Sunday at 12 Eastern. We're here to answer any questions you have.
Absolutely.
So get them ready, bring them to us. But thanks for tuning in, everyone, and we will see you next week.
Absolutely. Thanks, Shakib, for asking the questions. We appreciate it. Anybody else that's tuned in live, thanks for tuning in. Appreciate you.